The quiet fishing village of Murkwater had fallen silent. Its people, once devoted to the gods they had worshipped for generations, had been left abandoned. Prayers went unanswered, holy symbols grew cold, and any sense of the divine presence that had once filled the local chapel had vanished without a trace. When word of Murkwater's plight reached Travestati, she had to investigate. Being an experienced ghost hunter trained in the bardic traditions of the College of Spirits, she expected to find signs of a curse, or perhaps dark magic at play. But what she found was stranger still. Late at night, fishermen returning on their boats heard whispers from the coast. Strange sounds seemed to be drifting from the murky depths of the nearby caves. And with the portly, self-centered village priests being useless in helping her investigation, Travestati took the word of the superstitious locals and hired passage on a small rowing boat. Upon exiting the boat, the local who had delivered her turned, stating he would return in an hour's time, leaving her to the dark echoes of the cave. Following the whispers, Travestati ventured deep into the cave's tunnels, and there, in the shadows, she discovered it. A shrine unlike anything she'd seen before. Bones, shells, and fish scales were piled in reverence to a strange, newly formed idol, a god made not from ancient divinity but from the minds of its worshippers. The truth became chillingly clear. Murkwater's faith had not been disrupted by a curse but by a force even stranger, the Kuo Toa. And in their madness, they'd been crafting a new god, one born from their collective delusions, and their fervent belief was enough to disturb the gods of Murkwater, driving them away from the town. Travestati ran, realizing she was no match for the Kuo Toa's faith, which was so intense, so utterly insane, it had begun to twist reality itself. She would have to find help, and soon, before a god was birthed from the fishmen's collective madness. What if a creature could believe something into existence? Meet the Kuo Toa, bizarre fish-like humanoids driven to the depths of madness, living in the darkest corners of the Underdark. Today on Kuo Toa, we're doing a quick dive into the world of D&D's strangest cultists and my personal favourite monsters. The Kuo Toa are a staple of Dungeons & Dragons, appearing in nearly every edition of the game. These creepy amphibious creatures once thrived on the surface, living in coastal and island regions, existing fairly peacefully. However, the other species would drive these fishmen underground into the Underdark, probably after a disagreement over the Kuo Toa's habit of, human sacrifices. It would be in the dark depths of the Underdark that the Kuo Toa would be enslaved by the cruel Mind Flayers, where they were twisted into something far more tragic and far more dangerous. Despite being eventually freed after the Mind Flayers probably got bored of them and gaining psychic abilities, the experimentation would drive them all insane. And from their bulbous eyes to their sticky hands, the Kuo Toa aren't just another monster in the Underdark. They're unpredictable, fanatically religious, and most terrifyingly of all, they can believe gods into existence, thanks to D&D's resident evil Squidmen. Just like the orcs in Warhammer, if enough Kuo Toa believe something with enough fervor, reality starts to shift to match that belief. One of the most famous examples is Blibdool Poolp. Sorry, let me just say that again. One of the most famous examples is Blibdool Poolp. Blibdool Poolp, the Sea Mother. This horrifying and strange patron goddess is the product of Kuo Toa faith, a deity who sprang into existence purely because of their collective insanity. Taking the shape of a woman with the head of a lobster and claws for hands, she sees the Kuo Toa as her children, despite being made by them. And just like her supposed children, she is of questionable sanity, a terrifying concept when realizing the amount of power she holds as a god, even if she is a minor one at that. Kuo Toa's society is unique, to say the least. These creatures are highly communal, gathering in villages deep within the Underdark, where they worship strange deities of their own creation. And this isn't your average worship. As stated before, if enough Kuo Toa believe in a god, that god comes to life. That's right, in D&D these creatures are literally so delusional that their fantasies manifest as living, breathing gods. And to the Kuo Toa, these gods are not made out of a need to understand a universe like a traditional religion, but to protect them from the many species who would wish to enslave, or worse, eradicate them. Kuo Toa's society is structured around religious devotion. At the top you have the archpriests, holy leaders who claim to speak directly to these gods. They are accompanied by whips, lower-ranking priests who lead worship and enforce rituals. If a Kuo Toa leader says the Sea Mother or some other deranged creation demands a sacrifice, the entire village will fall in line, no questions asked. Now let's get into what makes a Kuo Toa, well, a Kuo Toa. Physically, they're a strange mix of fish and humanoid features. They have bulging eyes, webbed hands and feet, and slick, rubbery skin that always seems a bit slimy. But don't let their goofy appearance fool you. Kuo Toa have several unique abilities that make them quite a challenge in combat. First, they're amphibious, meaning they can breathe both air and water. In dark caves filled with rivers and lakes, Kuo Toa have the home field advantage. When it comes to combat, Kuo Toa are like an unpredictable swarm. Individually, they're not very powerful, but in groups, they're a nightmare. Despite lacking pack tactics like many other weekend monsters in D&D, the Kuo Toa are certainly more dangerous as a group. Kuo Toa also use shields coated with sticky mucus. This sticky shield ability lets them grab onto weapons that hit them, potentially disarming players mid-combat. Imagine the chaos when your fighter swings their sword only to have it wrenched from their hands. And empowered by the magics and abilities of their more elite brethren like monitors and whips, they can definitely put up a fight. Perhaps I will make a video going more in depth into making combat encounters for the Kuo Toa, so comment if you would like to see this. Now, for the dungeon masters watching, let's talk about role-playing the Kuo Toa. These creatures are bizarre, erratic, and deeply superstitious. When your players encounter a Kuo Toa, embrace their strange mannerisms. Maybe they speak in riddles, or they bow to inanimate objects. A Kuo Toa might decide that a player's sword is a sacred relic, bowing and chanting at it mid-combat. Or perhaps they ask the players to join them in worshipping a pile of rocks they believe to be a new deity. Their speech might be broken, with strange pauses or shifts in tone. Every interaction should feel a bit off. The goal here is to make players feel that they're dealing with something that doesn't think or act like a typical sentient being. So, how do you incorporate Kuo Toa into your campaign? Well, there are a lot of possibilities. One idea is to have your players discover a Kuo Toa village in the Underdark. Perhaps the Kuo Toa mistake one of the players as a reincarnation of their god, leading to a strange chaotic adventure. Or maybe the Kuo Toa's religious fervor has gone too far. They've summoned a god that now threatens the whole region. The players might have to investigate the cult, learning about their rituals and stopping their mad plan before their new god gains enough power to overthrow the region's nations. Just remember, the Kuo Toa, despite their insanity, have reasons for their actions. They have been oppressed for all of written history, leading to them to create gods to protect them, so don't just write them off as silly little fishmen. Or do. Maybe it would be nice for a silly break, where the players meet a Kuo Toa NPC named Fishsticks, who is simply on a pilgrimage to deliver the holy spatula to their tribe. So, there you have it. D&D's most unusual cultists, the Kuo Toa. From their bizarre gods to their unpredictable behaviour, they offer a unique experience for any campaign or one-shot. If you're a dungeon master, I hope this gave you some ideas on how to bring the Kuo Toa to life at your table. But be sure to comment below if you have any stories involving the Kuo Toa or tips on how you use them. And if you enjoyed this quick dive, don't forget to subscribe for more videos related to tabletop games. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay out of the Underdark.